Hello and welcome to the Rebel Ballerina Show. I was going to say ballerina is missing something. The Rebel Ballerina Show. And I am your host, Lisa Loree, the Rebel Ballerina. And I was talking with someone today at the gym who we were in the sauna together and talking about, doing healthy things for ourselves, and sauna being one of them. And we were just talking because today I was going to have to do a shorter version out on the floor because I wanted to do a longer span in the sauna and really get that heat into my muscles and stuff. And she's like, you have to do what is healthy for you, for your body. No one else is going to do it for you. And she's right. And it really got me thinking about some stuff. And it kind of made me go, there's a whole new version of my body, my choice, really. So here's the thing. You can do whatever you want with your body. That is your choice. You can take care of it, or you can choose to not pay attention to it and just do whatever. And generally speaking, that's going to end up causing major, major problems. So you can eat all the junk you want. You can drink your soda or your diet soda, and that's fine. If that's what you want, you can make that choice. The problem I have with that is, don't expect me to pay for that in the long haul. Medication, surgeries, hospital stays, loss of work. Someone has to pay for all of that. And right now, it's insurance. We have this huge conglomerate of insurance that is just happy to have us all lulled into this sense of, entitlement. I don't have to take care of myself because someone else is going to pay that bill, or they're going to help. Wow. When you really think about it, that's quite a mindset, to think that you're on the hook for my ill health. I just see that as wrong. Sure, it's your body and it's your choice. Okay, you pay for it. You pay for the surgeries. You pay for all of it, not just that bit that's left over. What would happen if we all actually had to pay for our own care? Now, what I'm not saying is that we should not have insurance. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying that the insurance should be there for catastrophic, crazy things that sometimes do happen. It's not like a lifestyle choice, You fall and break a bone. That's not necessarily a lifestyle choice. That could be you just being clumsy, or something happens, That does happen. It's really about how we take care of ourselves on a daily basis, the choices that we're making. Because we get to make those choices. So if you want to have all that sugar, that's your choice. But I should also have a choice not to have to pay for that, for the outcome of all of that, because that's just feeding part of the monster that I see: big pharma, big insurance, and the medical establishment, who have been lying to us for years, and all of keeping us all in the dark, telling us that, don't eat fat, that'll kill you. Here, let's replace it with sugar. Oh, yeah, that's great. Now 88% of the entire population is pre-diabetic or fully diabetic, and at minimum have metabolic syndrome, a broken metabolism. And those insulin hormones, they dictate all the other hormones. So you kind of have to go, huh, is that why perimenopause is happening so early in life for so many women these days? It used to be a much later thing. Now it seems to be happening younger and younger. So I'm just wondering, I'm curious. I don't have any hard data here. I'm just wondering out loud. Could it be because our insulin levels are so whacked out? And if they're in charge of all of our other hormones, I mean, kind of stands to reason, right? That no wonder there's a big fat mess. My whole gripe today, as you can see, is where's the responsibility? Where's the responsibility? And some of you are probably already turning this off because you don't want to hear it, which is fine. That's also your choice. If you have the gonads to listen and to hear, then good. I am proud of you because it is damn time that we actually start taking responsibility for ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be compassionate. I have a ton of compassion. Let me tell you, when you read my book, you're going to see all the heap load of shit I've gone through in my whole life. And I have a ton of compassion. I have a ton of empathy because I have been in that horrible place. I've been overweight. I had to lose 40 pounds. And that might not sound like a whole lot, but on this frame, that was a lot. And I was not in a good place. I was depressed. I had anxiety. It was awful. And then I found out what was behind all of that, and I was able to change it. And that's what I'm offering because I don't want anyone to have to spend any more time in that state. And part of the outcome of that state, a lot of time, is weight gain and emotional eating and things like that because we're trying so hard to just feel better without really thinking through the consequences of some of those choices, right? And I was a terrible eater. Oh my word, my poor mom. That's all I can say. My poor mom. Because we had no idea that I'm autistic and that I have like a super picky palate or did when I was a kid. And she resorted to letting me eat junk food. She didn't want to because it was something I would actually eat because I just wouldn't eat anything else. And that was terrible. Not on her part, believe me. That's not on her. That was me. And the fact is, though, that today's junk food is far worse than the stuff I ate because not only is there sugar, but now it's full of seed oils and stuff like that. That's also causing huge problems with our health and well being. So I know that I set myself up over the years for my own metabolic syndrome. And most of it was all of it was completely not knowing that that's what I was doing. And there wasn't a lot of information about type 2 diabetes back then, because when I was a kid, it wasn't an epidemic. Now it is. So you see, oh my gosh, you see all these commercials. Oh my word. Can't watch a football game without being inundated with, I don't know, how many pharmaceutical commercials, and they're disgusting. They show everyone's so happy and blah, 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 and then they give you that list of side effects. Oh my word. Have you listened to that? And you really want to take that medication? Wow. How about changing your lifestyle instead? There is a choice. Oh, but that's not as easy as taking a pill. You're right. You're right. The bottom line is we are conveniencing ourselves to death. That's what we're doing. Conveniencing ourselves to death. But I won't get instant results if I do it the long haul. You're right. Try taking ballet. I'm always talking about that with the kids, especially. They get so frustrated, working on turnout and stuff. And I'm like, I know, because muscles just work this way. You don't get to order perfect turnout and have it show up on your doorstep in 2 days or less. That's just not how the body works. Muscles take time. They work in millimeter increments, literally. That's all we get. And the thing is our bodies, they haven't changed over the course of millennia. They haven't adapted or evolved into sitting on our butts for all day. All day. And even if you're a mom and you're on the go and all of that, yeah, you're still sitting on your butt all day behind a steering wheel. That's what I did. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I am sedentary even though I'm on the go. So it doesn't feel like I'm sedentary, but my body knew that I was sedentary. It's like, what are we doing sitting here? I guess it would work if I ran on alongside the car and drove that way somehow. Probably not real safe. But anyway, because you think about it, why has it been for millennia? People were a certain shape, tall, short, it didn't matter, but people were generally in shape. They were in reasonable health. And I say reasonable health because we know that there were a lot of things shortening lifespans for a very long time. And in that regard, there have been some amazing breakthroughs medically, like penicillin, for instance. Well, I am certain that there are a lot of people who were actually perfectly healthy who dropped dead from blood poisoning. I've had blood poisoning, and it was the weirdest thing. It was from a tiny little cut on my thumb. I mean, like, not even a quarter of an inch of a cut. It was a cat scratch. And I thought I washed it well enough, but a few days later, I could barely bend my thumb. And I was at the studio. This is when I was dancing with Ballet Arizona, and we had this wonderful physician he was the physician for the Phoenix Suns, but he loved ballet. So he would donate his time and bring his interns to work with us dancers for free. And that was amazing. So they would come every week, like every Tuesday or Thursday or something like that. This was one of those days they were there. And I went up to one of the doctors just because I was like, I don't know how to wash this. Like, it was gross. And all I said was, how do I, and I didn't even get to finish my sentence. He grabbed my arm, he flipped it over, and he goes, do you see that? Do you see that red line? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't see that before. He's like, well, you have blood poisoning. Who's your pharmacy? I've got to call in a prescription for antibiotics right now. Oh, and by the way, you can't dance for the next 2 days. I'm like, what? I just took company class. So I was pumping that through already, unknowing. And I'm like, great, you tell my director that I can't dance for the next 2 days because of this little cut on my thumb. And it was like, seriously? And that was an eye-opening experience because I had no idea. If you have blood poisoning, if you've got that line running up your arm or on your leg somewhere from a cut, it'll kill you. Once it reaches your heart, you're done. I had no idea. So the breakthrough of antibiotics, penicillin, things like that absolutely are what we need the medical, our physicians for. But this whole idea of being able to do whatever you want, well, I've got insurance. It's really expensive, and everyone complains about how expensive insurance is. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Why is insurance so expensive? Are there some logical explanations? Are we connecting any dots yet? Because we're all sick and it's costing a fortune and someone's got to pay for it. That's why. And in the process of us being kept sick, guess what? They're getting filthy rich. And that pisses me off too. So I'd much rather take my hard-earned dollars and spend it working with a naturopath who's going to help me stay healthy. So I have this fantastic doctor. She's got an amazing story. She is a physician. She was trained in the medical establishment. She's a DO, already a little bit more on that natural minded side. And then she had her own experience. One of these days, I'm going to have her on here to interview. So you'll get to really hear her story. But she went through something in the protocol of the typical protocol, and it almost killed her. And she was like, that's it, I'm done. Plus, she was tired of the insurance companies basically telling her how she could treat her patients, what tests they could have, treatments they could have or cannot. She's like, this is bullshit. I'm the one that went to med school, and this is what my patient needs. And I'm being told no because of insurance and parameters and whatever. So there's that problem too. So, really, it really does boil down to this. Your health, your body is your responsibility, period. End of story. Yes, catastrophic things can happen. And that's why we should have insurance, is for those things that are outside the realm of like normal happenings according to lifestyle. But if you want to pack yourself full of sugar or drink way heavily, oh, hey, Flo, welcome. So nice to see you. I'm glad you popped in. So glad you popped in. How are you doing? Anyway, yeah, we have a responsibility for our own health and taking care of ourselves. And I also think of, like, in the way of exercise, in that regard, there's, we have such a sedentary lifestyle now. And again, the body did not evolve to that. It's going, what the heck? What's going on here? Why are we just sitting around? And it kind of makes me chuckle because there are folks, like, I go to the gym all the time, and there are folks that go in there and they're there too. But I wonder, okay, it just made me think. Back in the day, when people were pretty much in shape, they were working outside, they were working in the fields, they were working with animals, they were, before the Industrial Revolution. That's how people behaved. That's what they did because that's how they ate, right? You don't tend your field, you don't have food, you don't have anything to trade. So that's their lifestyle. Thanks, Flo. Yes. And I appreciate that. So here's the thing. How long were people in the fields and working with animals? How long were women running around, cooking and cleaning and scrubbing and stuff? And again, don't get me wrong. I love our modern conveniences. I am so glad I don't have to use a washboard. Indeed. I love my washer and dryer. I love my dishwasher. I love my car. I love my water heater and indoor plumbing. and hot water for my shower and washing my hands. And AC, heat, all of these things, they are good things. They are good things. However, we need to be careful about how we're conveniencing ourselves to death. So if we're not out in the field for, I don't know, hours, because that's what it took. You got up at sunrise and came back inside at sunset. And you were outside working that whole time except for lunch or supper, whatever, that midday meal. And that kept the bodies strong and fit and healthy and in shape, and people weren't overweight as a whole society. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of makes me wonder, if I go and work out for 2 hours, well, that's good, but did people just work in the field for 2 hours? No, they were there all day. And that's what it takes to stay in shape. In other words, don't think that because you go to the gym for 2 hours, and depending on what you do, I mean, there's lots of downtime sitting there looking on the phone, right? I know I'm guilty of that sometimes. And I've seen lots of people guilty of sitting on the phone instead of actually working out. So there's that. But there are things we can do. Definitely do go to the gym. I'm not saying don't do that. Absolutely. But you're probably going to have to really rev up what's going on in life, what you're doing. Like, how much are you actually exerting, right? Within that time frame. We'll call it 2 hours. If people spend an actual 2-hour segment there, even if it's an hour, are you cranking? Are you working hard? Because if not, the body's still not getting what it needs. So we got to supplement somehow. Walk, a brisk walk. Walking is amazing. It's amazing what just walking can do for your body. So if you don't have the time because you are stuck behind a computer or in some kind of sedentary job, which I know you got to pay your bills, and that's what we have now instead of being out in the fields and working with animals. Well, how do we get that balance back then? How do we make it so that we stay healthy and that we make the right choices so that we're not burdening everybody else because we're choosing to just be a lump? not exercising. And I can tell you that even with what I'm doing right now, oh man, I was not making much headway at all. I was in okay shape. Well, comparatively, I was in good shape, but I was in okay shape for me. And I was working out at the gym and I was taking class a little bit. Now I'm taking class a lot. Hardcore upper level class again. Now that my foundation is more solid, that's making a difference. So we have to do more. We have to do more exercise, and it has to be something that's going to push and give the muscles that stress and exertion, that the muscles, the stamina. Choose walking. Yes, that's right, Paul. Absolutely. Choose walking. And that's something you can do. Just take 5 minutes. 5 minutes here and there. Get up out of the office, run outside, go around the block fast, like power walk. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it works. And these are just little things that you can do. And in the way of what choices you're making for what you're putting into your body, how about drinking more water? That one thing that you can do. This is one of the very first things I did when I lost my 40 pounds. I started drinking water a lot more. I started my day by drinking a glass of water. Just doing that started making a huge difference. And that's not mind-boggling. That's not expensive. That's just something you can do easily. You might have to write it down because if you're like me, I'd forget because it wasn't a habit yet. It is now, but it wasn't for a while. And I'd have to remind myself, I'd have to, sticky note it. Drink water. Oh, and here's something else you can do for yourself. I do like and enjoy adult beverages, libations. I really do. I didn't drink for a good old long time. It wasn't until I was really in my, let's see, wine came into the picture. My ex's parents were fabulous. His dad was a wine connoisseur. Oh man, that guy could pair wine with peanut butter and jelly. I kid you not. Chicken and dumplings. Really good wine. Sounds stupid, but it was amazing. But then, like drinks and stuff like that wasn't really part of my life until I discovered that, that stuff's kind of fun. Within reason, of course. Here's how to do it. Drink water in between. So, one drink of alcoholic beverage, a drink of water. A drink of alcoholic beverage, a drink of water. Seriously, I've never been hungover. That's one of the reasons is because I've kept hydrated. It's just a simple thing that you can do. So drink your water. That's a really great choice you can make that has a huge impact on improving your health. And that's just, it's so simple. It's just obnoxious, really. And it's dumb because it's just that simple. But we don't think about it. I didn't think about it. I had this didn't come out of thin air for me. I learned it from someone. So I'm no guru. All of the stuff I share with you is stuff that I've learned from someone else. So I'm serious. It's time though that we start really thinking and considering, well, whose responsibility is it for me to be healthy? For me to be healthy, is it your responsibility to have to pay my medical bills? Because right now, because of the way insurance is, we've been lulled into that. And that's exactly what's happening though. Everybody's expected to pay for everybody else's healthcare. Healthcare. I don't think that's quite right. Just because you want a nice big new house, like a 4,000 square foot house, right now mine's about 1,300 square feet. It has the size of my kitchen. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But it comfortably fits one. Really, only one person can be in that area comfortably at a time. So when we're like really making a meal of some sort, it's a little tricky. We have to take turns. And so, yeah, it'd be really nice to have a bigger kitchen. So, say I find a beautiful, bigger house, and hey, that's what I want. That's the choice I'm making. I want that house. Oh, but by the way, you're going to pay for it. You're going to help me pay for that. What? Why? Why? But then I would have to help you pay for yours too. I mean, it's just like, wait, what? No. We pay for our own. If we literally had to pay for our own, well, what do we call it? Healthcare, because I do pay for my own healthcare because I go and get actual care. And I pay for that out of pocket. If everybody actually had to pay for their trips to the doctor, their medications and surgeries and all of that, I guarantee you people would start paying attention to their health. Because then it hits home and it costs you real money. Then we would pay attention. But again, we've been lulled into this, oh, we've got insurance to cover that. We've been lulled into our lifestyle of conveniences, so much so that we are conveniencing ourselves to death instead of paying attention to what we're really doing. And it is costing us. It was costing me. I've made some significant changes to make sure that I am doing things that are good for me, that are keeping me healthy. And I'm working all the time. It's not like one and done, I'm good. This is a daily practice. Seriously, daily practice. And I know my boyfriend wouldn't be walking right now if he hadn't have taken some time to research what was going on in his body. And that's why I know so much about what I'm talking about now, especially when it comes to insulin and metabolic syndrome and diabetes, because of what he's gone through. But why go through something? Why wait to where you almost can't even walk? By now, he probably would have an amputated foot, definitely be using a walker, more than likely a wheelchair or crutches for the rest of his life, because it was bad. It was bad what was going on in his body. And it was all largely due to insulin and diabetes and the outcomes of that, which are a lot. Cancers, all kinds of diseases, autoimmune diseases, all of those things can be linked to insulin, an overload of insulin. And why do we have an overload of insulin? Because we have an overload of sugar. And unfortunately, we are paying the price for that in many ways. Now, that's not to say that everything happens because of insulin. I'm not saying that. I mean, I think of my mom who died at 50 years old of cancer, breast cancer, and she had it in her 30s initially. She was clean. She didn't smoke, she didn't drink, she ate what would be considered really healthy and all of that. So, I mean, yeah, there are times when you're like, I don't get it. I can't see a correlation to anything with her lifestyle, except for the fact that she happened to marry a narcissist, and that was extremely stressful. So there's that part too. Anyway, so it's not that I'm saying that, insulin is the culprit for every single time someone gets ill. No, that's not what I'm saying. But in this day, it's responsible for a lot. But who's really responsible for that? We are. I'm responsible for it for my body. You're responsible for it for your body. And we shouldn't be burdening each other because of our own poor choices. So that's my rant for the day. You take care of yourself. I'm taking care of me. And then it works. And we're not a huge burden on each other. And then there is plenty of money left for a catastrophic thing when needed. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Paul and Flo, for showing up and saying hi. I love that. And I'll see you again soon.